Shalom, everyone. I am so excited to welcome you either for the first time or welcome you back to Coffee and Connection. This is our 28th episode or 28th week. We've taken a bit of a break for the last little while as I was doing all the with all your heart stuff. I hope some of you joined me over there and all of our new faces. It's great to have you now in this absolutely feminine community. And I'm so happy that you are joining us here for Coffee and Connection. So what is and I want to I I don't even know how to start. Like Baruch Hashem, Mamash Baruch Hashem. Things are so crazy right now in a very, very good way. Mamash Simcha every night this week, including, please God, my daughter's bat mitzvah tomorrow night, which is really, really exciting. And also next week, Baruch Hashem, like really great stuff. And I just didn't want to, thank you so much, Baruch Hashem. I didn't want to wait to have Coffee and Connection. I knew like waiting another 2 weeks was going to just not, I just didn't want to. I wanted to see you all. I wanted to connect with all of you. So for this week and at least next week, we have moved Coffee and Connection to Wednesday instead of Monday. I think we'll go back to Monday, but I'll let you know. Okay. So for this week and next week, at least it's going to stay Wednesday. I'm going to look at the schedule over the summer and see what's going on. And I'll always keep you posted. So you always can look out for your emails to come on live. And then we have our replay page, which, as soon as I can get the replays up there, you have access to. You're welcome to go check out the past 27 episodes. And I want to give you just, for those who are new, an understanding of what Coffee and Connection is about. And for those who are coming back, great to see you again. To make sure that are clear on the intention and that we are, what did I want to say? And that I'm still using this time to best serve you. So someone's saying that not all the replays are posted. So we haven't had Coffee and Connection since With All Your Heart started. So that's why you may think that some of the replays aren't there. On the replay page, there should be everything there from back when we started all the way through till, what was it? I guess the beginning of May or the end of April. So I'm not sure if that's what you meant. But Coffee and Connection in some ways took a break, and in some way there was the opportunity to have Coffee and Connection every night, right? As we did our With All Your Heart trainings. They are listed but not available to view. That's very strange. I would think that perhaps check if it's a filter. If you have a filter that perhaps isn't allowing them to be viewed, because as far as I know, they were not made unavailable to view. So if you have a filter, it may be that your filter, doesn't like them for whatever reason. But that might be something to consider. So the point of Coffee and Connection is to really make sure that I am answering the questions that you have, right? This is our weekly time to discuss a topic. Usually we bring up a question that was sent to me, right? Back when we started, I asked you all to send in your questions. What are your, if we could have coffee, if we could sit down and have coffee together, which I would love, right? What would you want to ask me? What would be your most burning question? And then I have all those questions and I, choose one, or sometimes, the same question was asked in a few different ways. I'll choose one of those topics and we'll start out by discussing the topic, talking about the issue, talking about why it may be coming up, what may be the source of it, and then we'll give a bunch of practical ways to deal with that kind of issue and answer the question. So the first thing I keep saying first, what I'm going to invite all of you to do is, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you would like to be answered on Coffee and Connection, go ahead and send me an email, chana@absolutelyfeminine.com, and put in the subject line Coffee and Connection and send me your questions, right? what would you like to see talked about on an episode of Coffee and Connection? What's a burning question that you have that you would like some guidance or clarity as to how to deal with it, how to best go about whatever issue that you're having? Okay. And, please God, I will get to all of them. And, uh, what was I going to say? And if, I'm happy to give some guidance if I can, and also let you know if that, when that will be, I'll use that topic. And it's important to realize that a lot of the times the topics that we think, no, I'm not going to ask this because I'm probably the only one struggling with this. I hope by now you've heard me say it enough times for it to kind of start to sink in that likely you are not the only one, right? There are probably hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of other women dealing with a similar issue. And whether they realize it or not, it will be beneficial not just to you, but to everyone, to so many women to hear the answer to that question. So I really invite you to go ahead and send me those emails. Send me those questions that you would like answered. Okay. And what I, thought about talking today was really just talking about like reconnecting and the importance of connection. I'm speaking to a lot of women lately, women who are looking for better relationships, who want more in their lives, who want to feel, and what it always comes down to is more connected. How can we be more connected? I'm married to this man, or I haven't found this man, but I'm dating a lot of men, and I'm just not feeling connected. I'm not feeling connected to him. I feel like we're just co-parenting, and maybe we're not even doing such a good job of that. Or I feel like we're roommates or just friends, or, that I'm always trying to make him happy, and he's just always miserable or always upset at me. Or I just, I know that he loves me, but I just don't feel it. Right? This issue of not feeling connection can show up in our lives in so many different ways. And I invite you to post here in the comments, how does it show up for you? How does it feel in your mind and in your heart and in your lives when when you're not feeling connected? What does that mean for you? Does it mean I don't feel attracted to him? Does it mean I just have nothing to talk to him about? Is it that we struggle to communicate? I feel so distant from him. Like, what is it for you? How does not feeling connected show up for you? Okay. And I'm going to give, like the 3 top reasons why we may feel unconnected. Not just really the 3 top reasons, the 3 top anecdotes, I guess you could call it, like the top 3 things that you can do to create more connection, right? The top 3 things that may be missing and how to bring them to create more connection, to have that feeling of connection that right now you may be feeling is just not there. Okay. And the very first one, right? We always start like this. The very first one is asking, well, am I connected to myself? Am I in touch with myself? Am I honoring myself? Am I loving and respecting and empathizing with myself? And this may seem kind of strange. Like, no, Chana, I'm here to talk about how to connect with my husband. What do you mean connect with myself? Like, what's the connection? There's a lot of connection. Okay. First of all, realizing that if I'm not connected with myself, and this is going to bring us to the second reason, but if I'm not connected with myself, then I'm not going to be able to show up in the relationship in a connecting way, right? If I don't know what I want, if I don't know what I feel, which is getting to number 2, right? The way to create connection, which is being vulnerable. If I'm not in touch with myself, if I don't know how what I want and what I feel and what's coming up for me and when I'm getting resentful and when I really don't want to do something, if I'm not aware of those things, then how am I going to share them, right? How am I going to bring them into the relationship and into the space? How am I going to create that connection if I don't even know what I feel, right? And even more than that is that if I'm not aware of what I'm really feeling, so then what I'm likely doing is pushing myself away, which pushing my feelings away, which I'm never actually pushing my feelings away, right? I'm trying to push them. I end up kind of pushing them down where they fester and create resentment, which is poison to the relationship. There is nothing that creates disconnect more than resentment. And so, not being in touch with ourselves means I'm always putting other people first. So, I end up feeling like I don't matter. Like, no, if you had this thought, like, no one cares about me, are you caring about you? And if you are not recognizing when you really don't want to do something and you end up doing it anyways and then feeling resentful, right? That's going to create a lot of disconnect. So, how we treat ourselves and how we love ourselves and honor ourselves can make a huge difference in the amount of connection that we're actually experiencing. As crazy as it may seem, as counterintuitive, because, and this is something we talked about a lot and with all your heart, we've learned so many things about giving and giving to others and, bittul and making everyone happy. And yet it seems to really not be working in a sense that it's rather than creating the connection that we want, we end up feeling that resentment and that disconnection. Now, that doesn't mean that other people aren't important, right? People always will say, women will say to me, like, so are you saying I'm more important than my husband? Or are you saying my husband's more important than my kids? Or are you saying that, only I matter? It's really important this is something that can be so hard to get. It's not either or. It doesn't have to be either or. The real trick, the real, it's not really a trick, but the core of having a healthy, loving, supportive, safe relationship. And this is the essence of the Absolutely Feminine group coaching program, because this is what really makes a difference here. That's why we talk about it for months, about creating a safe space within ourselves and then learning how to give those same ideas of love, respect, and empathy that we're building for ourselves to our husbands. The reason that's so important is because in a relationship, in a safe, healthy, happy relationship, I matter and you matter. We matter equally. And that is something that we often really struggle to wrap our brains around. Like, what do you mean, right? Doesn't it have to be that one matters more than the other? What do you do when they conflict? Yeah, sometimes they're going to conflict and we both matter. So then it's figuring it out. Okay, so right now, what's the best, what's the right answer, right? What should I do now? What do I want to do now, right? What's the best thing for me to do now? Always weighing those two truths together. Okay. So that's one thing. The other thing that really, the second thing I would say, as I mentioned, that really allows for more connection and more intimacy in the relationship is vulnerability, right? We really cannot create intimacy of any kind without being vulnerable, because vulnerability is about sharing your inner self, who you are, right? And not that your feelings and your desires are you, because they're not you. But the truth is that you is somebody that is beyond explanation, right? Is beyond words. We can't really talk about ourselves in a way that we can accurately describe our essence, because our essence is spiritual. It's something beyond words, right? It's what's the word? It's like infinite, right? It's a piece of godliness. So you, by definition, just like Kivyachol, when we talk about Hashem, like how we cannot accurately describe God. So what do? We talk around him. We talk about him. We describe our relationships to him. Good Vavke, Elohim, Adonai, right? All these different words that we use to discuss our relationship with Hashem, right? But even the word Hashem, what do we call him? Hashem, the name. We're something about him. He is the shame. He is the place, right? Shame, sham, it's the same word. He is the source. Is that his name? Is that his essence? No, we can't really describe his essence, and we can't really describe our own essence. But we can talk around us, right? And what's around us, what's kind of about us, what describes us, what helps someone understand us is when we can share with them what's in our heart, what's in our minds, right? What we want, what drives us, what our desires are, what our feelings are, what we are, like just our experiences. When we share that, that is sharing part of who we are, part of our essence. And if I don't describe that to someone, if I don't talk about those things, they won't know me, right? And then how can I have a deep connection with them if they don't know me, right? Because then it's a superficial relationship. So that's why once we know ourselves and we know what we're feeling and we make space and we respect it, then we can start to share that with someone else. And that is the vulnerability creates that ability to connect. And it's scary. It's true. Vulnerability can be very, very scary because it's vulnerable, right? And it's because it's so vulnerable, because it's so scary, that it actually has so much potential to create connection, right? And the third big thing that I would just really put out there as like the best way to create connection is by looking at that issue of make sure I give like the best third tip that I want to give for today. Yeah, I think this is the best one, is really looking at like what is happening in the space between us. Okay? Because we all have that space, right? You could think of it in so many ways, but like the husband and the wife have their space between them, or, with anyone that we have a relationship with. We have me and we have you, and then we have what's existing between us. How are we communicating? What are our patterns? What are the things that we most argue over or we most struggle with? And once you identify those things, then you can start to look to like, how can I shift this, right? Why is this not working? And what is my step? What is my piece in creating, what is my control in what's not working in this space between us, right? It's not all going to be in your control. A lot of it's going to be in the other person's control, right? Because it's the space between us, the space between. I think there's a song like that, right? I don't even know. Do I know that song? I don't know. I just know the name of it, the space between. And that's such a holy concept, right? Like mamish, like the space between like us and our husband is where God resides, right? Yes, and it's all like everything is that space between. So looking at what is in that space between and what is my part in it. What can I do to shift to something different, to connect to something, to connect to him or whoever it is that you're looking to create connection with in a completely different way? Because remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If I don't change what's going on in the space, if I don't change who I'm being in this space, nothing's going to change, right? Otherwise, we just keep on going on saying it's going to be different. It's going to be better. I'm going to be different. I'm going to be perfect. And then we're like, well, why is this happening again? Why are we back here? But that if we don't actually make a change, we don't find that piece of our control, right? It's like that solving that puzzle. if we don't solve that puzzle and find that piece, it's one of my favorite things to do is like finding that piece of the puzzle to figure out like where your control lies in a situation, then it's not going to change. And that's how we end up in that frustration of, I can't believe we're back in the same argument again. I can't believe it's another Friday where I feel the exact same way. I can't believe I feel this way dealing with the kids over the summer that I felt with my husband last year. I can't believe that, we're still having that same argument about how to deal with this issue that's coming up in our lives. Well, if we don't change the dance, if we don't change what's happening in the space, then it's just normal that the same thing is going to come up, right? You're exactly like, nothing's wrong with you that you keep fighting about the same thing or having the same not healthy, happy conversations. Nothing's wrong with you. You're actually healthy and normal, right? Like, unless something changes in that space, of course the same thing is going to happen again, right? And when you have this awareness, then when it does happen again, you'd want to say, okay, so then what's not working? What's not working? And sometimes what you think isn't working is not the real thing, right? You remember that game Mastermind? Anyone ever play Mastermind? I love the game Mastermind. In the game, it's like such a logic puzzle game, right? You have like, let's say I'm playing. I'm the whatever you call. I'm the person. I don't even know what you call it. So I set 4 pegs of different colors in a certain order. And then somebody else, I'll just pick on Leora because she's here on her camera. Leora tries to guess which colors did I put and in what order. So she puts 4 pegs, 4 colorful pegs into the space, into like the first row of empty holes. And I have to tell her, if she got the right colors, I put little white pegs, right? Now you pull something out, right? She gets white pegs. If they're in the right place, she gets red pegs. Now, sometimes you're playing the game and you're so sure that you got the right, like you figured out which is the right color. So you keep putting those same pegs in, right? You think it's, oh, the green and yellow is right, so I'm going to keep doing green and yellow. Meanwhile, it could be that only the green was right and the yellow wasn't right? Or neither of them were right. Every at the next level, you put in 2 that were right? I hope I'm making sense to people. It's a little hard to explain, but it's an amazing when somebody can get that, where they're like, I don't understand. What do you mean I don't have any right? I always had 2 right, the green and the yellow. I put them here. Oh, maybe it wasn't the green and the yellow that were right. Maybe it was the blue and the orange. I get it. And then they solve the whole thing, right? In one round. So sometimes it's not that we're, oh my gosh, this isn't working, right? We're just hopeless and helpless and we're doomed. Even if you're going through the work and you're trying to figure out what is not working, it could be that you just haven't yet figured out what's not working. I'm not going to say it could be. I am going to fully trust in yours and your husband's greatness and say it has to be that you just haven't figured out what's not working. Because there's something that's not working. Now, I'm not saying that everything will, if you do everything perfectly, it'll be perfect, or that you won't have struggles. But the space between is always going to be based on what's happening in that space. And when I take control and I take responsibility for what I'm bringing to the space, I'm going to create something different. I'm going to create a relationship that is loving and respectful and full of empathy and safety and understanding. And that is in your power, right? Yes, good point that somebody shared. Often it can be our preconceived notions. It could be our expectations. Expectations are huge. It's our shoulds, right? It's the way that we think we should act or someone else should act. It's the way that we're speaking that we don't realize. It's the way that we're responding to the other person that just doesn't work. It could be our mindsets, our fears, our limiting beliefs. It could be how we are or not listening, right? There's so many possibilities, and yet when we make these shifts, we can start to see worlds of difference. So and this just brings us back to the importance of being aware of ourselves, right? And willing to take that responsibility ourselves, willing to say, what can I do to create connection? What's not that I'm putting all the weight on my shoulders, because I cannot, no matter how much I try, I can't change him. I can't control him. I can't make him different. What I can do, though, is take full responsibility for me, right? And that is so powerful. So when we take full responsibility to get in touch with ourselves, to be vulnerable, no matter how scary it is, right? And of course, there's a way to test it and do it slowly. And there's dealing with his reactions. These are all topics we've discussed, and I'm happy to discuss further. And number 3 is looking at what's happening in the space between us, right? And what's the piece that I can take responsibility for. So that's number 3, right? Number 1 is connecting to yourself. Number 2 is being vulnerable. And number 3 is looking at the space between you and saying, okay, what can I take responsibility for? I can't take responsibility for the whole space, but what's in my space? What's on my side, right? What's my piece here? And you see they all connect because it's all, part of the process. But these 3 things can already make a huge difference in your relationship. Okay. So please, I'm just so happy to connect with you again. I'll see you, please God, next Wednesday at the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, please God. And please go ahead and send me any questions that you would like to discuss. I'm happy to upgrade my spreadsheet and add more questions or upvote questions to be answered. And it's really great seeing you all and connecting with you all again. And I just feel so blessed to be on this journey with you. And I just really want to say thank you to all of you for being here and connecting with me. And until next time, may we all be blessed to live, love, and be loved with all our hearts. Goodbye for now.